I would like to start by asking a question, a simple question. Who don't like coffee here? Who don't like coffee? Okay, you're in the right form. Who loves coffee? Ooh! Who has more than a cup of coffee today? Wow. Well, in fact, coffee indeed is one of the most, actually the most popular beverage in the world. But on the other hand, having said that, coffee is a climate sensitive crop. And due to climate crisis, national coffee production is at risk. So today, we will hear some discussions around what are the potential opportunities for joint climate actions in the context of coffee production, and what are the challenges of sustainable coffee production amidst the climate crisis, and what are the innovation and best practices within the coffee industry in response to climate action and climate justice. So to commence the discussion, please welcome the executive coach and mentor for climate and sustainability action, and she's also the director of Climate Reality Indonesia, Ibu Amanda Katili Niode.
Thank you, Desmona. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Kartini Sahrir, Ambassador Kartini Sahrir, one of Climate Reality Indonesia's patrons, and also Climate Reality friends. Thank you so much for coming. And we will have free coffee later, specialty coffee. We have a barista here. So I would like to invite the barista to come up. Rinaldi Nur Pratama, he will introduce himself later. And our youth, Aldira Sucipto. And Hana Astaranti. And Leila. And Don, of course, last but not least. So please forgive the noise. It's how the pavilions are set up. But I just would like to mention the objectives of this session. We try to understand the challenges of sustainable coffee production amidst the climate crisis. And we also would like to share the innovation and best practices of climate action and climate justice in the coffee industry, and also explore opportunities for joint climate actions focusing on coffee production and consumption at the national, regional, and international level. So we have 5 speakers today, and you all have like about 8 minutes to share important points about your topics. And thank you very much. This is a session organized by Climate Reality Indonesia in cooperation with the Indonesia Pavilion. First, I would like to have Leila, if you can please introduce yourself and what is Rainforest Alliance.
This is working. Oops. So hi everyone, my name is Leila Yassin. I'm Global Advocacy Manager at the Rainforest Alliance. So the Rainforest Alliance is an organization, is actually an alliance of different stakeholders. We work with the private sector, with local communities, with producers, CSOs, and the idea behind our work is really to tackle what we call the triple crisis, which is the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, and livelihood. And we've been working in Indonesia for more than 30 years, and specifically on coffee, but also on other crops. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Leila. So I have a few questions for the speakers. And maybe Leila, like you said, you've worked in many countries. What are the best practices to protect nature and through sustainable coffee while at the same time improving livelihoods?
So there are actually, so yeah, like you mentioned, we don't only work in Indonesia, we work in different regions, about 75 of them, and mainly tropical regions. And what we do there is bring in what we call locally led and nature-based solutions. Because we believe that any climate solution needs to have people and nature at the heart of it. And we can give you several examples of nature-based solution, locally led and nature-based solution. But specifically in Indonesia, we work a lot on agroforestry as a climate solution. This is a good example.
So you have slides to show? It's already on?
Yes. Oh, yeah, it is.
Technology.
Yeah, I was like, where are the slides? Yeah, so, I mean, as you all know, like by 2050, there will be about, the agricultural world will be very, very different than it is now. There will be about 10 billion people that need to be fed, sorry. And there will be a higher demand on crop, like coffee. And by then, coffee is going to be hit very hard by climate change. Can we go to the next slide, please? Not sure who's... Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I can give you some example, but I'm sure most of you know them. The rising temperatures, and it's becoming too hot, too dry. There are like lots of risk of flood, and it's really changing the patterns of production of coffee. For example, this year in Indonesia, there was like a Nino, and it's becoming really almost impossible to predict what will be the production and what will be, the impacts on the crop. And another thing is, like, we're seeing that there's an increase in pests and diseases, and as you may know as well, like there's always this dormant period, but there's no more dormant period for the pests and diseases, and it's like becoming like this infernal cycle. So this is all laying pressure on farmers, and coffee farmers are being pushed to go higher, to look for like cooler temperature to plant their coffee crop. And this is leading actually to forest encroachment and degradation of maybe intact ecosystems. Can we move to the next slide, please? So, yeah, we know that we've been all saying it. We're here at COP28. This is like really the decisive decade for climate action. And we really need to act now. But how can we act? Can we move to the next slide? I can't control the slides. So, the Rainforest Alliance has a very clear vision, and I think I mentioned it in the beginning. We need, first of all, to build the climate resilience of farmers and also local communities, but we also need to reduce emission across farms and the production system. Because as I said, every climate action, in our opinion, in our vision, and also from our experience as Rainforest Alliance working in Indonesia, but also in other countries, every climate action really needs to embed in it both nature, so conservation of nature and restoration of nature, but also people and what are the needs of people. So maybe if we can move to the next slide, I'll give you a better idea what we mean by locally led and nature-based. Next slide, please. So what we mean by, so locally led for us is, so like I said, like we need to look at what. So we're putting at the heart of this climate action communities, right? What do the communities need? But not only this, we know that farmers and local communities, they have a very important knowledge. So it's really important for us to approach these communities, to hear what they want, to hear what they need, and to tailor these solutions. But they also have to be the heroes of these solutions. It's not only us telling them how to do things, but it's the opposite way around. And we've seen this from our more than 20 years working in the field in Indonesia, or even in Latin America or Africa as well. So for us, it's really important that it is basically locally led because it will benefit them as well. And by nature-based solution, what we mean is, what we want to do is, first of course, is reduce the emissions, also build resilience and adaptation of farmers, And we have different nature-based solutions that we use across our production systems, like regenerative agriculture, forest conservation and restoration, integrated community forest management, which is something that we also do in Indonesia, integrated landscape management as well. So can we go to the next slide, please? So I mentioned to you earlier that one of the solutions that we have in Indonesia is agroforestry, because agroforestry is extremely suitable for coffee production in Indonesia. So we see this a lot in what we call the social forestry and industrial forestry, and it works really well there. It has, I'm going to be very fast and very quick. It has like two benefits. The first one is really from a livelihood perspective. Because in agroforestry, what we're doing is we're planting shade trees, but also we're diversifying the income of the farmers. So this is also ensuring that they are protected from a food security perspective. And from another, there's another aspect to agroforestry, which is around mitigation. You know, it does capture carbon, as you can see it from the graph here. We've conducted a study where we saw that, if you look at the graph, that agroforestry systems are very good at capturing carbon in the two regions where they're like as good, not as good as, but not far away from intact forests that we can be. So this is something that can be very helpful when it comes to climate mitigation. The last slide, please. So yes, I mean, for us, you know, it's not only about farmers and livelihoods, it's very crucial. It's not only about nature, it's about all of us together. And this is why we're always very happy to collaborate with everyone. As we said, we're an alliance. And yeah, I guess that's going to be all from me.
Thank you, Leila. I have another question for you, but before that, I would like to introduce a climate reality leader who works for Rainforest Alliance. Stand up, Nina. Yes?
Yes, definitely.
So Nina is a climate reality leader. She was trained in the global training back in 2020 or 2021. And she's with Rainforest Alliance. And she was the one who helped us to make you come here.
I have to be honest, she did hide this little thing from me. Now I'm learning, so now you're my hero, Nina.
Thank you. But, you know, my question is, Rainforest Alliance is such a big organization and you are famous all over the world. So what if an organization or an individual would like to know more or would like to be involved with your organization? What could they do? Should they contact Nina, for example, if they are in Indonesia?
Well, I'm sure Nina would be always happy to meet them. No, there's different ways. I mean, it depends who wants to get in touch with us. Of course, if you are an NGO that works on the ground, you can always reach out to the regional offices to see what is it that we're doing. If you're working with, local communities of farmers in coffee, that's always a good way. Farmers also know where we are and how to reach out to us. But as an individual, what you could do is actually encourage Indonesian farmers and the companies that source from them by buying our certified products, which we find the little green frog on the back of your coffee. This is a way that you can engage. But you can also go on our website, donate. We always have some campaigns. Now we have a big campaign called We're All In, and I do encourage you to watch it because it's a nice one.
Thank you. Let's give a big applause to Leila. Next is my boss, actually, Don. Don is the international board member of the Climate Reality Project. We have some climate reality leaders as well as officials from the headquarters. Thank you all for coming. Don, please introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Amanda. So Don Henry from the University of Melbourne. I was born and grew up in Brisbane, live in Melbourne now, and as Amanda mentioned, I'm very privileged to be on the board of the Climate Reality Project. Amanda, I want to acknowledge your wonderful role as director of the Indonesian branch. I'd like to acknowledge the ambassador
Ibu
and
Kartini.
patron of Climate Reality Indonesia, who is here. Thank you, Ambassador. I'd like to acknowledge a couple of colleagues from Climate Reality International, Washington, D.C. here, Ethan and Meg at the back there. And I know we've got quite a few people from the Indonesia branch here. So can people from Indonesia branch put
Ibu
their hand up?
Kartini juga angkat tangan dari Indonesia
That's good.
branch.
I really want to acknowledge the role the branch does. Amanda, I had the privilege of being in Jakarta when Al Gore did a training that helped strengthen the branch. And for me, that was a great privilege to see the wonderful efforts that are going on around Indonesia and that Climate Reality does. And I also want to acknowledge the government of Indonesia, because this is a fabulous pavilion, and the government always does a great job putting the pavilions on here at the COPs. Amanda, do you want me to say a few words?
We have Pak Bowo, the minister's, Pak, what's your position? Minister Special Advisor. So the Special Advisor to the Minister of Environment and Forestry.
Thank you so much. But friends, thank you so much for what everybody does here in many different roles. Amanda, do you want me to just say a few words?
Yes, about climate justice and coffee, because at
Yeah.
Climate Reality, we always talk about climate justice, and
Yeah.
today's topic is coffee.
Yeah.
Can you talk about climate justice in the coffee industry, for example?
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. So we're not going to have solutions to climate change challenges unless we have justice as well. And people have to be central to the solutions. And our solutions have to be fair. And at the moment, we're doing two things that are not fair. We're putting too much pollution into the atmosphere, which is changing the climate for everybody, and there's not enough assistance and encouragement provided to those people who are being impacted by climate change. And that includes coffee producers and coffee producers in Indonesia. So for the Climate Reality Project, climate justice, or a people-centered approach to solutions to climate change, is really, really important. And I want to note, we've had a wonderful presentation on what coffee farmers are doing and can do in Indonesia. I think it's very important that consumers, at the end of the day, whether it's in Indonesia, Australia, or the US, consumers need to be aware of what coffee is grown sustainably, and they need to support that with their credit card. When they're buying coffee, they need to buy coffee that's coming from sustainable sources where there is assistance to farmers. So we've all got a big job to raise awareness. You know, the language that's used is the supply chain, but right from the farmer to the international consumers, we need awareness raised and action taken. And Amanda, the last thing I might say is, you know, from a coffee farm in, say, Bali, it might seem difficult to think about this COP. You know, what does a huge negotiation in Dubai have to do with a coffee farmer in Bali or someone in Australia drinking a cup of coffee where the beans have come from Bali? And I just go back to how I started. These big international negotiations and conferences are essential for good leadership to reduce emissions, because the more emissions that go into our atmosphere, the more coffee farmers are going to be hurt on the ground. But they're also really important to encourage finance and solutions right through to coffee farmers on the ground. So I just wanted to make the point, we've all got a strong interest in the outcome of these international negotiations, but at the end of the day, it has to benefit people on the ground. So I want to commend the wonderful leadership from Climate Reality Indonesia, and from Indonesia as a whole in this space. Amanda, thank you.
Thank you. I have a question that I should ask you first. Can you explain what is the Climate Reality Project and how many volunteers we have all over the world and what we are doing?
Yeah, thank you for the easy question, Amanda. So the Climate Reality Project is a non-government organization. It's like a volunteer organization, and it's made up of people who want to learn a lot more about the problems and solutions of climate change and want to have training and be equipped to help other people make the change. And the chairman is the Honourable Al Gore, former Vice President of the United States, and probably many in this room will be aware that he's got quite a famous slide presentation. And what we do as Climate Reality, Mr. Gore leads 3-day trainings for people to equip them to go out in their own local community or with their governments to make a big change. And we've now got almost 50,000 trained climate leaders around the world from 150 countries, and they're out there in many ways making a big difference. So the idea of Climate Reality is to really help you make a big difference in how you live and your own spheres of influence.
Thank you, Don. Let's give a big applause to Don Henry. And next, let's go to Hannah Astaranti. Hannah, introduce yourself, please.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Amanda. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's so nice to see everyone here. I'm Hannah Astaranti. I'm with the Climate Reality Project Indonesia as the Communication and Engagement Specialist. In the Climate Reality Project Indonesia, we work together with communities, especially with youths and women as well. I'm just going to highlight a bit about the actions that we do in the Climate Reality Project Indonesia, especially with youth, because after this we will have a screening, a movie screening. Maybe if you have more time after this, we will have an open stage screening just right upstairs, and it's about the movement coming from the our special flagship program, which is the Climb Art. I will not share more about that. I will keep that a surprise. But that's a very good movie, so I encourage you, if you have more time, please go upstairs after this. But anyway, speaking about what we do in Climate Reality Project Indonesia, along with Mbak Arifah, our Community Action Manager here, we go to many communities and we are encouraging them to do what's best for them. As, for example, if they are good at doing the communities, for example, if they are in the coffee communities, we are encouraging them to step into the sustainable community, sustainable business practices. So we are always raising the awareness to the other communities, so they are going into a more greener lifestyle. Even if their businesses are already big, we are always encouraging them to go to the greener line, so we can have more discussion, and we always open for more discussion about the what's next after they have converted into the green lifestyle. So that's pretty much about it, Ibu.
Good. I know that you are interested in empowering women coffee farmers. Can you elaborate on that? Do we need to have trainings for women coffee farmers? Anything, your insights would be appreciated.
Yes, Ibu. So if we talk about coffee, oftentimes we are also talking about men, because men drinks coffee all the time. Even when I was a kid, my mother always said, please don't drink coffee, don't try it because you will grow mustache. But yeah, growing bigger, I know it's not only for men. Women can also enjoy coffee because it's something that could be part of our lifestyle as well. But if we talk about the production process of coffee itself, we see that coffee production is a male-dominated business from where the coffee is planted, grow, and harvested. Mostly it was dominated by men. And the reason of that is because the women or the mothers are usually back home taking care of their children. So the guy or the men are in the field doing their thing. But some of the women, I've talked with the women in Central Java especially, it's in Indonesia, they are trying so hard to be part of the production process as well. So I have talked to the Lady Farm Coffee and then Java Mountain Coffee as well, where they are specializing in rural women coffee farmers. They are trying to encourage other mothers, other women who's only staying at home waiting for husbands to go back from the farm. But they are now in the process of the production. They are starting to be the farmers as well, where it is said to be like the labor process, the hard process of the coffee production. But they are there, they're in the field now, and they are making and they are harvesting more beautiful coffees because they have a great eyes. I'm not saying that the men are not having as good eyes as women, but just saying women are more detailed. But yeah, from the production process, from the harvesting to the processing process of the coffee, now women are there to be involved in the production as well. And until the brewing, until the making of the coffee. So the Lady Farm Coffee as well, they are trying to be part of the coffee culture, not only by the consumer as the consumer, but they are also in the production and on every step of the way of where the coffee comes, they are there to be the one who is doing that.
Thank you, Hannah. We'll come back to you later. But now let's go to our youth. Aldira Sucipto.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Aldira Sucipto. I am 15. So I am a freshman in high school, and yeah, and at 2016 when I was 9, that was where I first kind of my climate journey started. I went to Tanjung Puting, and I see orangutans, and I slept on the boat outdoor, and that was my first kind of connection with nature. And it's inspired my climate journey. And also what kind of make my climate journey even further is that there is my sister. She joined the Climate Reality Project Leadership Program. At that time, it was COVID, so it was held online. And I was very interested in what she was doing because she was like my only friend at home. So I just follow her around and I asked her, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, I am learning about climate change." And I was like, "What is that?" And I just started following her and joined final project topic, like a little reason for me to step in and learn more about climate change. And I'm very happy to take that as my project topic because I learned a lot more about climate change and is going to be the one who's gonna feel the effect on it, even though I am not the one who's creating it. I am creating it, beside the point. Um, and yeah, and I'm very happy that I did because I made a lot of my friends actually into climate change, and they started very interested in climate change, and they started asking me a lot of questions as well about what I'm doing, because I joined a lot of like seminars, and then I made social media videos on Instagram, and they started asking me questions about that, and they told me that they become very motivated and they want to learn more about climate change. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you drink coffee?
I do, but I haven't drank the pure black coffee. That's just a little too strong for me right now. My stomach will be in pain afterwards. So I prefer things like lattes or like cappuccino or like coffee that have lots of milk in it because I'm growing, I guess, so I need my milk in my system. But I love the taste of coffee, but coffee, like pure black coffee, is just a little bit too much for me, and I don't really like the tanginess of it. But I think I will be obsessed with it, like in 10 years. And I know for a fact that I will drink coffee every single day, and I will stop drinking coffee with milk and like added sugars to it. But I do know some of my friends that like or like prefer like the authentic coffee because of their dads and their moms. They drink that as well. But for me personally, I do drink coffee, but it's added some little bit of special magic to it.
We don't have to wait 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably in 5 years, I will also be drinking it.
All right. Climate Reality Indonesia has a flagship program. It's called Youth Leadership Camp for Climate Crisis. In fact, Mr. Al Gore also endorsed that program back in 2017 that he encouraged something. If somebody can help us something, if somebody can help us show the slide. Today, actually, we are launching an ebook. It's called Youth Alchemy, Climate and Coffee ebook. And it's about the experience of Climate Reality Indonesia's Youth Leadership Camp for Climate Crisis. And of course, the focus is on our coffee activities. You can download it at bit.ly Youth Alchemy ebook, and then there is Aldira's story in it as well. But I would like to appreciate our speakers because we are all wearing the T-shirt of Youth Alchemy. Thank you, Leila and Don, for wearing the T-shirt. And this T-shirt was printed in Bali. So after the coffee camp, Aldira, a few months later, you know, all the alumni of the coffee camp, you went to a coffee shop?
Yes, we did. We went to Dua Coffee, where I met the other alumni. I met them, and we share what happened and like what we were doing and just catching up. And then Ka Aldi here also did a little explanation about coffee. And yeah, it was very fun.
So it's not only the coffee plantations and how to process it, but also the coffee shop owned by Rinaldi Nur
Yes.
Pratama.
Yes.
Okay. The name of the business is Dua Coffee. Introduce yourself, Aldi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and listen to our discussion about coffee and climate change. My name is Rinaldi Nur Pratama.
Naikin dikit.
Sorry?
Kerasi.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And I'm the founder of Dua Coffee and also a co-founder of Dua DC Coffee. So I have two brands here. I have seven in Indonesia and one in Washington, D.C. and run by my partners there. And I started Dua Coffee in 2016. And now we have developed, we have seven branches in Indonesia, 6 in Jakarta and 1 in Bandung. And from the very beginning, in 2016, we actually already did the separation of the trash itself. So basically, we just separate the organic one and the non-organic one, so that the customers know where to put their trash, right? And now we have almost 120 people to work with, and we are a little bit concerned about the coffee by 2015. Like every other paper says that it will be disappeared, right? So we are a little bit worried about how do we sustain our businesses if we don't have anything to sell, right? So that's actually the problem for everyone in the coffee industries and all over the world. So yeah.
Aldi is too modest. His coffee outlet in Washington, D.C. is near the White House. So it's frequented by the second gentleman, Ms. Kamala Harris' husband, and also the Secret Service. So they all go to Aldi's coffee shop in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, but all the credit goes to my partners there because they are the one who, who works their everything. They give their everything to the businesses. So
And there was an Instagram post where the second gentleman
Yeah.
promoted the coffee shop. So that's great.
yeah, Mr. Douglas M. Hoff is actually visiting our stores and buying the coffee from the local business, right? So because we are actually one of the survivor in the DMV area because of the COVID, and yeah, the Mr. Douglas M. Hoff entering our shops and then buying the coffee and take those coffee into his office.
Okay, great. Congratulations. Now, can coffee shops be climate friendly? Is it possible?
It is possible, it is possible, but in Indonesia it's quite expensive to do go green. Like everything green is really expensive in Indonesia. So I do really hope that lots of businesses going into the green, because we need the coffee for everyone to taste and also for your grandchildren, right? So coffee is really great. So yeah, but we actually can do something, because every little thing that we do is really impactful for the planet. So yeah, it is possible if we do it together.
Okay, now Aldi has some exciting things to share. He has a very important step. Here it is. Can you explain what it is?
Yeah. So we actually going to open a new brand in Amsterdam, and we're currently planting something in Amsterdam involving coffee for a nicer world. And hopefully, these coffee places could be copied by all over the world to do more greener and more nicer things for the world. I don't want to say the better world, so it's a really strong word. I just want to say it's for a nicer world, because you can do nice things and be impactful, even though it's only a smile or only a wave of a hand, and the brand will call Heyo. So Heyo.
So what's the plan in Heyo?
So,
What will you have there?
So the plan is we wanted to bring the community to plant more trees. And for now, we wanted to plant in Indonesia, the one with the places. It's in Garut, Bu.
West Java.
West Java in Garut. They have a landslide problem, and then we really needed to put more trees in it and become a reforestation area. And it's actually, Leila, we work with one of your coffee producer, Classic Bean. So, yeah.
So, so here we are. We are the first one to hear about Heyo coming to Amsterdam. So that's a good announcement. Let's clap our hands for Aldi. Thank you so much. And I
Thank
heard
you
that
very much.
Rainforest Alliance is also interested in assisting you.
Hopefully, Leila. Hopefully.
I think it's on. I mean, yes, as I said, we're always open for everyone. And, climate change starts with us and also throughout the supply chain. So from the farmers to the consumer, but also people who sell coffee. So yeah, we're more than happy to support you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we have time for questions and answers and comments. Yeah, before you sensei, I would like to give the opportunity to Dr. Kartini Syahrir. Ibu, can you share your experience working with women coffee farmers in Sumatra? Our patron, Climate Reality Indonesia's patron.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Amanda. Okay. Is it? Okay. Okay. I joined Ibu Amanda's team at the time to North Sumatra, where the women there planting coffee, yeah, and very interesting to see, especially during COVID, when we thought everything will stop. No, it didn't happen. They still working on that coffee, and they do also understand what is happening with the situation at the time. And by the time we also remember, Bu Amanda, why don't we do, what is that, the Zoom? Okay, do Zoom. Okay. There is a quantum jump at the time from seminar into Zoom time. That is something, make tremendous effect to this woman, not only to them, but also to us. For these women, they are so proud of that they can communicate with us through Zoom. That kind of technology for them, not only something new, but it's kind of to respect them, that they will be part of advanced technology. Yeah, that is something, we never thought about that. We just thought that we need to communicate with these women, this farmer coffee, okay? And they accept that and look at us as if this is it. We are part of this whole things, the process of coffee. It's not making them as a farmer, but part of entrepreneurship. So this is what is happening that I follow to see them at the time, okay? And they learn how to integrate between planting coffee and how for the nutrition for these women, yeah, how to make them and their children healthier, how to, proceed the whole coffee, yeah, they learn it, and we also include that. That's a famous chef. I forgot that name.
Chef Ragil.
Chef Ragil, yes, that's a chef. Came there several times. We invite him, meet the farmers, and he teach them how to make the coffee for one. I also learned that a lot. That from this coffee, then one of the seed of the coffee, the fruits, you can have so many things. Mind you, you can have cookies. You can use it for peeling. You can use it for everything, you name it. And for them, then we ask them with Ibu Tantri, yeah, for 13 weeks. Mind you, 13 weeks of training with them intensively for them to learn how to do this, to manage a coffee, including for the finance, everything. 13 weeks, 3 weeks, intensively. So we think that during COVID, when people thought that they have to stop working, no. They, got something, we learned something from them, they learned something from us. So for us, from my experience in North Sumatra, I think women is always in the front, for the food security of the family, of the community. Yeah, that is what I learned from the coffee. Yeah, I love coffee so much, but at this moment I have to stop drinking coffee. Sorry. Yeah. But only for a moment. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Sensei. Please, I know you, but please, can you please introduce yourself to all of us?
Thank you, Amanda. I'm from the Japan Hokkaido University, named Osaki, and we collaborate a long time. She was under the DNPI, the climate change.
National Council on Climate Change,
something. Yeah. And so we are focusing at the time the peatland management. And so under this program, so also she has some the community program, and asked me to how to manage the peatland. And one idea, introduce the cash crop. The one is coffee and cacao or something, maybe agroforestry system or so on. And so under this program, so we developed a very excellent the management system in very high water table conditions. And in this condition, normally, you know, the oil palm very difficult to grow and reduce the water table and apply the huge amount of chemical fertilizer. It destroys totally the environment. But we apply the high water tables and something organic compound into the back and only put on the surface and no need to reduce and the root coming up and so grow very well, stimulated half years and the productivity come to the doubles. And so using this the technology, so if apply the coffee or some the cacaos, so maybe the water condition if controls. So now so very serious the climate change. That is mainly the dryness. But it's difficult to control the dryness in the years. But if we control the water tables in the peatland, the wetness also keep. And so this technology applied nutrient to some activate by using the mycorrhiza or so on. And so maybe I believe the productivity is okay and something, the quality also, it's okay. And so the next year I start a JICA project in the peatland. And so if possible to collaborate. And so I want to know what is the key, the limiting factor or the problem if want to the coffee or some another into the peat. Do you have some ideas? Could you suggest to me?
Thank you, Sensei Osaki. He's a real scientist. He did write lots of scientific paper. But I know that there are coffee growing in peatlands, but can any of you talk about the issue? Leila?
I think maybe our climate reality champion might have the answer specifically on Indonesia. Do you think you can answer this one?
Thank you. I might not be able to answer scientifically, but this is a really good, really good notion because peatland it's very critical and they're also carbon sinks. But I think at the moment what we need to figure out is the thickness because thickness really it affects how crops could thrive. Like in some parts of Indonesia, for example, thickness 1-2 centimeter, meter. Certain crops could thrive. But I think at the moment, what is very important, if we go back to locally led or nature-based solutions for climate, we look at also the market. We see a lot of communities that are also living in peat areas. They grow coffee, which is perfect, especially Excelsa or Liberica, which is perfect for peat condition. However, it's maybe the demand from the market is not so much. So the farmers are not really rewarded for producing that. It's domestically, it's domestic demand. So I'm sorry, but I cannot answer the scientific. We need to actually do some research on that. But we know in particular the average of 800 to 1,200 meter above sea level, an additional of 16 to 18 megacarbon of CO2 could actually be absorbed. It could be part of the stock, but we need more research on peat areas. Maybe professor could help in that, and also maybe the market. If we can also induce those kinds of interests, maybe some innovations for that type of coffee, that would increase more solutions, especially around peat. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody would like to add something?
I can't answer the specific, but just a general point. If you look globally, the peatlands are very important sinks for carbon, and we've got a big challenge to protect existing forests on peatlands, or where they've been degraded, to encourage reforestation that will work to stabilise them, but also help local communities as well.
Okay, Sensei, in this ebook, there is also a short explanation about, that the coffee types, Robusta, Arabica, and then there is Liberica, that could also grow in peatlands. So there were some paragraphs on that here in this ebook. And then apparently this coffee, Liberica, also won a coffee championship. Maybe Aldi can explain. Can you?
Yeah. So
inform
maybe
us?
I want to go to the market like Nina says. So the coffee industry, Sensei, is usually wanted to have either Arabica or Robusta. So Arabica, it's going to be a higher altitude for you to plant it. And with the climate is getting hotter and hotter, is usually we cannot do farming again in the higher altitude. So now in the coffee industry, we are actually getting into the Robusta and also the Libericas because that's if the climate is getting hotter and hotter, so we are going to be there's no more Arabica. So now we are going into the Robusta and Liberica and actually Liberica, the barista champions. I forgot it's where he came from, but he wanted to blend the Arabica with Liberica. So now we need to have other coffee rather than Robusta. So rather than Arabica, and because Arabica is really flavorful. I don't say that Robusta is not flavorful. I don't say is that Liberica is not flavorful, but Arabica has so much flavor inside of that cherry. So if we cannot have that by 2050, it's really heartbreaking because your grandchildren cannot taste the sweetness, the fruitiness of those coffees. So, yeah.
Thank you. Could you give some advice for the managing the coffee in the peatland? And also, you say the peat is very important carbon sink, but already in Indonesia, the 6 million hectares is disturbed. So how to rehabilitate or conserve this system? One is maybe apply the high water table technology and using the application system, which is good for the oil palm or some commercial tree. But the local people should to use some another to choose some another more high cash crop coffee or something. So we try to introduce this kind of system for the conservation of the peatland.
We'll have a special session on that.
Yes.
We can also work with the World Coffee Research.
Yeah.
There is a branch and office in Indonesia.
Yeah.
But right now, I would like to ask you, what's specialty coffee?
So specialty coffee, basically, you have a point. So the lower point should be 80, and those. How can we get those point? It's by the Q grader.
Oh, Q grader. Okay.
So Q grader. So, yeah, that's the.
That's
so
specialty
80 and above is called specialty coffee, and then 80 lower.
It's based on the Q graders assessment.
Yes, Q grader.
All right. Any more questions or comments from the audience? We still have time. Yes, Ibu Elim.
Okay, thank you for the time. My name is Elim from APP. Just want to inspire. Just now, Rinaldi said that you want to how to achieve climate action in terms of your coffee shop. So just want to offer that we produce the coffee cup. The paper is basically no plastic at all, and then is 100% biodegradable. And some of the coffee shop in Jakarta also started to use our paper cup to their coffee shop. So because of, we also commit on the reduce 30% of carbon footprint within our supply chain. So yeah, maybe you can start with the small thing to your coffee shop to addressing the climate change.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you very much. So maybe I can.
Please.
So that's the. As I mentioned before, because it's really hard to do 100% organic coffee or green coffee businesses. One of the small things that we do is actually we change our packaging into the reusable one. So every purchase, we gave them information that do not throw out this coffee cups. And then because it can't be reusable at your home, so don't. That's the simplest thing that we do at our Dua Coffee cafe back in Indonesia. And also we don't throw away our coffee waste because it can be used for the fertilizer for our own plants, at least at our own cafe, because if we open another cafe, we don't buy it, we just cut it from what we have from the coffee fertilizer, and then we put it in our new cafe. So that's the basic thing that we do actually to do action for the climate.
Let me get back to Leila. You know, in your work or in Rainforest Alliance work, do you work from end to end, you know, the plantation down to the coffee shop, or do you specialize on the coffee farmers only?
No, as I said, I mean, that's a question that comes often. You remember what I said is that we're all in, and that's how we really look at it. It's like really the whole supply chain, so from the farmer to the consumer. Is it that we work, so do we work with coffee shops? And let's not say coffee shops in Amsterdam. Do you remember this one? No, we don't work directly with them because, I mean, so sometimes we've worked with Starbucks, for example, where they do buy our certified products. But like independent coffee shop, what they will do is they will buy from suppliers that have our certified products then, in that sense. But we don't work directly with them in that sense. So we expect them to buy our sustainable products.
Okay, that's good. Aldi, take note. We have the Vice Chair of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Silverius Oscar Unggul. He was our speaker last year at COP in Sharm el-Sheikh. And you have comments on coffee and then, you know, forestry business and all those kinds of things related to coffee.
Thank you, Bu Amanda. Yes, of course. So in Indonesian Chambers of Commerce, we call it regenerative forest hub. So we want to expand our forest. So in Kadin members now, we have forests. We call it HPH, but now PBPH. We identify where is the still virgin forest, we protect that. But for the forest already deforestation, we replanting. But we combine between trees and coffee, cacao, on the others product. This is we learn each other in Kadin members, and now this year we have 10 companies willing to do a pilot project about a size maybe around 250,000 hectares surrounding Indonesia. So this is good because in Indonesia now multi-purpose uses for forestry. We want to grab this opportunity, and of course we really want to connect with market, because the land are there. We're willing to invest to plant coffee. Just tell us what kind of coffee, good, and then we invest on that together with people surrounding us, and then we can make a end-to-end production, but with the regenerative way. Of course, maybe we can use the Rainforest Alliance standard. It's okay for us. Maybe this is the connection between what's happening in Kadin now.
Okay, Kadin is the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. Any comments from our international audience? Experience in their countries about coffee, about coffee shops, coffee farmers? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Jessica Martinez. I'm from Mexico. I'm not a coffee producer, but I want to ask you how you stay so positive around coffee because in my organization we are studying like the situation in Central America and how it is affecting the small producers. And they are like starting mobilizing, migrating, but not migrating to harvest coffee like years before. Now they are like moving to the USA, and now the women are like harvest. And you said like it's impactful how they feel. So obviously they feel like sad because their partners or sons they are not there. So how you stay so positive about the situation? Because I just really like in the list of events and said coffee. I was a bit sad, but now I'm very happy because it's like very positive and I don't know how to say it. I'm very happy. But any like advice for us or for coffee producers?
Can I answer this?
Sure.
I totally get you, and I totally understand what you're saying. I've been working on the issue of climate change for, I don't know, I think I was 15, about your age when I started, and that's back in the 90s. So you need to remain positive because you need to keep hope, and hope is what makes us live. So from a work perspective, we work with farmers. These are smallholder farmers, and they need us. We can't leave them behind, and we should never leave anyone behind. So in order to fight climate change, we need to think about them. We need to tailor the solutions to them. And we need that positivity. So in one of our latest campaign, the We're All In campaign, it starts with you, but it starts with each one of us in this room, all the way down to producers. Because when you give them the tool, you give them the hope. But I agree, this is maybe small compared to all the fossil fuel that is still being pumped and used, and we need to slash it down. But yeah, we need to stay positive, and maybe one of our young activists would like to say something about that.
Okay, I just would like to add a bit in the women coffee talks. So we know that this is a research says that I found online, that it says that most of our coffee production, they are coming from the low to middle cost nations. So this gives us hope, especially for the women, because it has the encouragement for them that they are needed to do more, and it doesn't just limit them, and just they're not just gonna accept the fact that the men are going to be the one who is leading the business. So by knowing that they are needed and the world needs them, and coffee is part of our habits now. We can't live a day without coffee. All the women wants to be in it, and the challenges are crazy, if I must say. For example, in Indonesia itself, the women are unable to buy the land. If they want to make a coffee farm, they can't buy it unless they have a husband or they are married. But they are always finding a way. Like, for example, like the one I interviewed, they are making an alliance. They are making one organization, and it's a woman only organization. And they are together proposing to be the owner of the land. So because they are growing together and they are gathering as women, more people can understand that, oh, this is something that we need to raise more of the issue, because it's not only a male-dominated business. Women can also be there, and they are not only there for the production process, but they are there to be the consumer as well. And it's for everyone, so we have to include them in all of this business all around the world. So that's something that I would say.
That's a great example. We have one last question from the gentleman here. Yeah, and two questions then. One here first, and then this gentleman here. Time's almost up. Yes.
Good evening, and actually thank you very much to all the panel for the incredible kind of like passion that you have for coffee. I think that if there's one thing that they always say is that first of all, food unites us all, and I would say that the other one, very important one, is coffee. I mean, it's coffee, right? So Eduardo Garay over here from Honduras, actually coming in from a coffee family as well. So yeah, I literally grew up in coffee. I know I understand what this means. So I guess that the question that I wanted to pose to the entire panel is that, and I think that Leila mentioned this as well, whenever you were talking about that, we need to think about everyone in reality in the chain. It comes throughout the entire supply chain to the consumers. So just to give you an example about Honduras and the situation that Honduras is, by the way, like the number, between the top 5 coffee producing countries in the world. However, conditions are not the best, as you can imagine. We're highly susceptible to climate and all of its impacts at multiple levels. But then you sometimes have, for example, coffee roasters from Europe, from other parts in the world, that they're always trying to get the perfect batch. And it's all about that, right? They sometimes travel to Honduras to go and see the smallholder farmer, and that represents time for the farmer, time that they're not worrying about the next harvest, time that they're not out there trying to fertilize. Time equals money, right? And they're already trying to just literally try to live and make ends meet by this coffee farm that they have. So I guess that to try to land to a question here before I start rambling way too much, I guess the question that I have for you, how do we educate more everyone in the supply chain? For example, like the roasters as well. Because sometimes, again, as I was saying, they go, they work with the producer, and sometimes they don't even end up buying more than one single batch. So, and because replicability in coffee, doing lactic fermentation, fancy stuff like that, is really hard to get. And we're already trying to work within a changing climate. So, yeah, how do we promote more education? Maybe I know that the consumers are a challenge already, but how about in the supply chain? How do we promote more education there to try to help these smallholder farmers on a changing climate?
Thank you. Let's take the question from this gentleman here before the panel answers.
Yes, thank you so much. Actually, when I saw about the event, I really wanted to ask this question because I'm coming from Congo and I live in Kinshasa, the capital city. Experts, after the research, after the studies, they came up with the conclusion of saying that in Kinshasa, no way to grow coffee. Like, until a lady who came from France, actually Congolese in the diaspora, she came and she planted coffee, in a big scale, actually, and she's doing well. Our coffee is Café La Quinoise, actually. I can share even. Can you be following her? So my question is, what are some of the challenges that do you guys face on the ground so that in terms of coffee, like how is it difficult to grow coffee in a very difficult space?
Okay.
I hope I've been clear with my question.
Okay, I'll let the panel answers, but before that, I would like to inform the audience that after this, Rinaldi, he's a barista, he will serve us his coffee from Dua Coffee, and it's all free. Yeah, free flow coffee. And it will be out front, out of this Indonesia Pavilion. He will be ready, pouring the coffee for you all. Any answer to the question about roasters and everything?
Okay, probably I would love to answer your question. So for me actually that is the biggest problem for Indonesian coffee worldwide, because every buyer wanted to have a very consistent crops, right? But you are talking about something that came from nature. It's nearly impossible to have a very consistent crop. So for me, actually, in our shop, in our roastery, we wanted to have the best people around us. So we wanted to educate our team first so that if we have a not so good crop this year, we can tweak it a little bit in the roastery itself, because you know what? Indonesia now is actually the world champion for roasters in the world, yeah, from the SCA just last month. So we are, because of that problem, the very basic problem of the problem that I mentioned before about the consistency of the crop itself. So our roaster is really wanted to have, we really wanted to buy all those stuff and still do good with that. So we learn, we do lots of errors, and now we are okay with that. We know how to do roasting. If, for example, the basic you will have from the roaster is that, okay, this coffee is too wet. Usually that, right? So if it's too wet, then you can do a lot of things in the roaster machine. You can either burn it like with the high temperature in the first time, and then let the Maillard process do the works and all of the stuff. So for me, for our company, basically, how to have a very good human around us first, then educate them first, then we don't blame others. So that's from our company.
Thank you, Leila. Could you answer the gentleman's question with climate aspects?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess you weren't there in the beginning of the session, but we said, so I'm not very familiar with the landscape of coffee in Congo, and I think this is very new as well, what you're saying. So we were just mentioning in the beginning that climate change is really impacting the production of coffee from different aspects. So, the rising temperature, because coffee needs a very specific temperature, like kind of like cool in the 20s. And with rising temperature, the soils are becoming more dry. Sometimes you're also having floods. So what's happening is that it's impacting the yield, and then and it's like, and also we've seen with climate change there are more and more pest diseases that are not going away. So farmers are obliged and they're pushed to go higher in the mountains, encroach on forests and everything. So maybe, I'm not really very familiar, so I cannot really answer on the Congo, but maybe this is one of the aspects. It could be also in relation to the soil. Maybe the soil is not the right one for coffee production. So maybe it would be best that we link you, because we have a lot of colleagues in the region and the Congo Basin that can tell you more about, because we do grow cocoa in the Congo Basin, but it's not exactly the same, temperature or soil and everything. So maybe they can have an answer for you on this.
Thank you, Leila. We have 3 minutes left, and I would like to have Hannah, Don, and Aldira to have some insight, statements, hope, whatever. 1 minute each.
I think it's been a fantastic discussion, and I suppose I'd just like to really commend the efforts that everyone are doing, because lady asked about hope, eh? Every step counts. Every step counts. And we're hearing people do good work in lots of different places. So that gives me a lot of hope. And I just want to commend and thank everyone here with what they're doing.
Okay. If Don is highlighting about the hope, I would highlight the challenge. I should be the one saying the challenge, and then we can have hope afterwards. But it's okay. But we are living in a very challenging time, as everyone knows that. It is a very hard times for almost every one of us, every region. We have changes here and there and everywhere. But we are here together, and by being here, we know that we have something in mind, that we can be part of the change, part of the hope, so we can have the future for all of us, for Aldira's granddaughter, so she can have more coffee in 2050 and something. So yes, challenge and hope we can work together. And let's see if Aldira have something that could connect those two words.
Aldira, granddaughter?
Oh, wow, granddaughter. I think I need to graduate high school first. But yeah, my hope, this was such an amazing conversation, by the way. My hope that there are going to be more youth that are going to be interested in this topic, because this really is an amazing topic and I grew very interested in it. And I'm just hoping that there are many, many youth that would love to dive into this topic and maybe be the future of it and make it even better and make some new innovation and just do good. That's what I could say. Do good and be useful. Yeah.
Yeah, Aldi would like to say something. He's still youth.
Okay. I just want to say that probably coffee will be an answer for the climate change, actually. Because of what? Because coffee needs shading trees. So we are not doing deforestation. We're actually doing reforestation and forestation, actually. So we are not doing damage to our farm and to our, farm, basically. So we might be the answer for the climate change.
Thank you. Let's give a big applause to all the panelists.